Hi, thanks for tuning in. This is DL Ciesco. I am a yoga teacher and I will be guiding you through the spectacular Psoas, Destress Your Deep Core. So together we'll be going over some information regarding the Psoas so you know what it is, what its functions are, the impacts that it has on the body, and what it needs to be healthy. And then we will partake of a yoga sequence, and that will help you to hydrate and lengthen and relax your psoas. So let's get started. So the first thing I'd like you to do is think of some associations that you might have with this idea of your core, because the psoas and the iliopsoas complex is considered the core. You know, we talk about our core muscles, but it can be more than that. The core can be our core values, the things that are most important or central to our lives. Core curriculum or core teachings, the things we must know in a particular field in order to continue to grow there. Or speaking of growing, the center of the apple around which the rest of the apple develops. It's the central point of our being. It's our centering. So from this picture, you can see what the psoas looks like, and I'll help you locate it in your body, and we'll talk a little bit about what it does. So the psoas is a large muscle. It's part of the iliopsoas complex, and we aren't going to get into that, just pretty much focus on the psoas to keep things simple today. It's your deepest core, and it runs from your 12th thoracic, which is the lower part of your middle back, and runs down along both sides of the spine and connects to your inner thigh area right above the femur bone or leg bone. It's responsible for core stabilization, the position of your pelvis and your posture, and it provides support for your organs. It does some other really fascinating things too, so we're going to talk about that. So the psoas is what connects the spine to the legs. It's the only thing kind of holding you together. It flexes the hip, which is what you can see in the picture here of bringing the knee to the chest. It adducts the hip, which is what we do when we cross our legs. So it's moving a leg across the midline to the other side. It laterally rotates the hip, which is what we do when we turn our feet out, like a ballerina would do in first position. And then it laterally flexes the lumbar spine, which is what we do when we're standing and we simply lean over at the side of the waist and make a C curve in the back. That is lateral flexion. So that's what the psoas is responsible for, but it's also responsible for communicating energetic shifts, changes in structure, neurological and chemical information that comes through. So it's the brain in our bellies, and it helps us to feel safe and in harmony with our surroundings, or not. It depends on how relaxed we are, and that's what this series is all about. It's learning how to relax the psoas so that it can work to its optimum efficiency. So when contracted, the psoas can misalign our pelvis and our lower back, and it can cause compression, which can result in pain and loss of movement. If we use the psoas to help us bear weight, it can become like bone, and that's not what we want. We want a long and strong psoas that remains soft and supple. The tightness of the psoas can also restrict the diaphragm, and thus it can impede our ability to breathe fully and freely. And this in turn can create problems with our heart function. So there are those who believe that the psoas is actually a sensory organ, and this is a relatively new thing and not widely accepted. But if you think about it, we have this abdominal brain or enteric nervous system, and this is what tunes us into what's right for us, or how out of sync we are with what's right for us. It's our gut instinct, and it's our ability to feel our emotions without feeling overwhelmed. If the psoas is overworked, it can create an armoring, the tightness of the belly, that hardening. And that makes it difficult for us to read those intuitive signals correctly. So we could say, trust your gut, but only if you're relaxed. Chronic psoas tension can result in overactivation of our sympathetic nervous system, which is our freeze, flight, or fight nervous system. And it can block the important signals that would help us to maintain our centering. So there's that word again, centering and core. Released psoas makes it easier to deal with life's stresses and to remain open and in contact with ourselves, with our truth. So an imbalanced psoas can bring on any of the following: back pain, disc problems, sciatica, hip pain, groin pain, a weak core, limited flexibility of the back, or uneven leg length. So if you have any of those issues, it could very well be that you have an imbalanced psoas. And if you are approaching the symptom, the back or the hip or the groin, without approaching the psoas itself, you might be missing the mark. Signs that you have an imbalanced psoas include functional leg length discrepancy, knee pain, low back pain, loss of your lumbar curve, hip degeneration, constipation, menstrual cramps, shallow breathing, hip pain, sexual dysfunction, and exhaustion. So what happens is, when we experience these kinds of symptoms, we tend to approach them from the symptom itself. So we're treating the exhaustion, we're treating the constipation. But what the psoas has to teach us is that it can very well be the psoas that just needs to be balanced and put back into order, and then these other symptoms will simply disappear in and of themselves. Addressing a single muscle alone can be helpful if you have a problem, obviously, but it's not necessarily sufficient. Even if you do have a particular problem with your back, because everything is connected and it works synergistically, the entire pattern of your movement needs to be addressed. Sitting too much, for example, or over-exercising, or activities that regularly shorten the psoas, like a lot of core work that makes you super tight and six-packy, poor shoes, and even carrying emotional baggage, on a regular basis, or being stressed out all the time. All of these can impede a healthy psoas and result in the symptoms that we just talked about. So what can we do to maintain the optimum health of our psoas? We need to soften and hydrate it. We need to release and lengthen it, keep it balanced, and then do exercises that help to strengthen it. For this particular workshop, we'll be focusing on softening and hydrating, and releasing and lengthening. So to end our slideshow portion of this workshop, I want to read a quote from the book Core Awareness by Liz Koch, K-O-C-H. She writes, "Working with core awareness, we hone our ability to be alert, responsive, and undefended rather than simply having knee-jerk reactions. We develop our ability to consciously choose how we wish to respond. Re-establishing a supple psoas is fertile soil for growing a responsive rather than reactive, open-hearted, and inclusive consciousness." All right, so it's time to do our workout together, or actually work in. Go ahead and get your mat. Okay, so here we go. Sit comfortably on your mat. If you want to put something under your hips, feel free. Bring your hands to your chest, and let's tune into our breathing and set our intent to release and lengthen the psoas and all of the emotions that are held there. Bring your hands to your knees in Gyan Mudra with your index and thumb fingers together. feeling your ground and your center, lengthening through the spine, breathing gently and lightly, but fully. And if you'll come to your back, lying with your feet some distance apart, your hands at your side, and just relax here, just breathe. And we're going to work on softening the breath. Really tune in to how you feel throughout your body. What parts of you are in contact with the ground? Are they releasing into the ground? Feel the length through the body as you lay in this pose, specifically through the core. And feel the rise and fall of your diaphragm with the breath. Notice the belly rising and falling with that. Maybe the ribs expanding. Perhaps the body starts to unwind a little and sink even deeper in its relationship to the ground. Now go ahead and bend your knees. You'll want your heels a comfortable distance from your behind, so that the weight on your foot is equally distributed between the balls and the heels. You want to feel as though your legs aren't going to collapse here. So play around with your placement until you are feeling pretty steady. And again, just breathe. Focus in on that deep core. And feel that gentle and softening rise and fall. Feel the weight of the bones from the knee through the heels, and from the knee back through the thigh bone to the hips. Sense the entire back body. From the sacrum all the way up. And releasing the shoulders, opening the chest. Just softening. And then raise your arms overhead. You can have them kind of out to the side like cactus arms. Or if you're more comfortable, you can put them even further over your head. This is just going to open up the chest a little deeper now. Breathing softly, gently, softly, gently. We're unwinding many, many layers here that are so subtle. Raise your arms now with a stretch overhead. So just extending them a little further. Feeling that pull all through the core and then releasing the arms. And slowly extend your legs. So now you have your arms overhead where they can rest. And your legs are long. And just feel the lengthening through the entire body now from head to toe as you continue to breathe softly, gently. And feel that lovely rise and fall with the breath. With each rise, you expand a little further. And with each exhalation, you soften a little deeper. Now grab opposite knee with opposite arm and pull the knee into the chest. Just hold here and breathe. Feel the lengthening through the long diagonal line and the shortening of the opposite diagonal line. And release. Just feel the difference between the two sides of the body now. Before we go on to the other side, taking opposite knee with opposite hand, bringing the knee to the chest, holding, elongating through the diagonal line of the lengthened limbs. Just being very sensitive and aware of what you're feeling in your gut. And release. Laying once more at full length, and then bringing your arms back down slowly, slowly, and letting them rest at your sides. All right, come on to one side and push yourself up to seated. Now, you have a choice here. I have a rolled up mat, and I'm going to place that to support my sacrum. You can use a rolled up blanket or towel. And of course, if you have a foam roller, you can use that too. The thing is, it is going to increase the sensation of lengthening. So if it's too big, it might not be comfortable. And likewise, if it's too small, you might not get enough of a accentuation. So you might have to play around a little bit. I find that the rolled mat works really well. Place that under your sacrum, and then we'll just lengthen again, full body. So arms overhead. And again, focusing in on that core and the sensation of rising and falling with the breath. So just think soft, soft, soft. Really letting that whole front body open. Feeling the full support of the ground. And breathing through that lengthening. Now I want you to grab same knee this time with same arm. So bring the knee to the chest. So instead of a diagonal line here, you have a lengthening through one side and a shortening through the other. So just release and relax. Continue to soften, continue to breathe softly and feel. You have an opportunity here to really let go of some very deep holdings. Go ahead and open, release that side. Feel and sense into the difference you feel now between each side before moving on. Grabbing same knee with same arm, pulling the knee to the chest, lengthening through the opposite side, enjoying the sensation of release through the shortened side. Relax and breathe. Sometimes when we hear someone say relax, we think there's something we have to do. We put effort behind it. So when I say relax, don't take it as a instruction to do anything. Take it as an instruction to do nothing, to just soften. Release that side. And now feeling, sensing into both sides. Reaching along effortlessly, just enjoying that lengthening and the rise and fall of the breath. So relax your arms down to your side to remove the mat or blanket or whatever you have under your sacrum. Just put that out of the way and lie with your knees bent. Just receive the benefits of the pose. Hopefully you feel an awakening, a stirring in your deep core already. And definitely a softening and relaxing that is originating perhaps in the core but moving through the entire body. So go ahead and get yourself close to the wall and swing your legs up. And just lie with you'll want to determine for yourself the distance that your hips are from the wall. Some of you will feel more comfortable flush to the wall. Some of you may want to be 6 inches from the wall. Just determine for yourself what's more comfortable. Your arms can be open to your sides a little bit. And just allow your legs to release into the wall and to release back into your hips. And this will also help you to soften through the core. As you feel an opening and lengthening through the core, you can also accentuate it by moving your arms into cactus arms or all the way overhead if that's more comfortable. So you can experiment with that. And just rest here with your legs up the wall. So your arms will help to open your chest. And as your chest opens, it will help to create more space for the breath. So you can feel even more expansion. And with that expansion, a deeper softening. So begin to move your legs wide apart. Now for some of you, if this is uncomfortable to just let your legs open like this, you can keep them straight up and down. Otherwise, just open through, so you'll get a nice opening through the inner thighs, a stretch through the inner thighs. And remember, the psoas attaches to the inside of the leg. Just breathe here. Experiment with the arms. I've lengthened mine fully out to the sides. Feeling a complete expansion with the breath through the belly, the ribs, the chest. And then exhaling, chest, ribs, belly. Enjoying that sensation of almost falling through the ground, through the belly. As if there was a vast space there. With each different pose, we are accessing various holdings so that we can release them. Begin to bring your knees together. We're going to go into a butterfly pose. So you can decide how high up or down the wall your feet are. Mine are pretty close to my groin. You just want to feel like you can really let go of the legs and relax them into the wall so that you're not having to support yourself or work through the legs to keep them there. So try to find a position that allows you to let go. Enjoying that sensation of opening through the hips. And softening with the breath. You can bring your arms to cactus arms or bring them overhead, which will, of course, open up the chest, help to elongate the upper psoas. Now bring your knees together. Go ahead and grab your knees, bring them to the chest. Just feel that lengthening now through the back. Enjoying that sensation of having the thighs pressed to the stomach. Feeling that compression. And rolling to your side. Just take a moment and then push yourself up when you're ready to sit on your heels. We won't be here very long, so hopefully it will be comfortable for you. So we're going to do some lunges here. If you'll come up to your knees, and if you need a cushion under your knees, go ahead and use something. Make sure your front knee is over your ankle, back leg hip over knee, and bring that back leg, the lower leg, to the opposite corner of your mat. Stretching your arm of the back leg up, long and tall, breathing in. Really opening that side. You can accentuate the stretch by bringing your arm over your head and then tilting towards that side of the forward leg. Breathe. With an inhalation coming up, and straighten out that back leg. We'll take a deeper lunge here to the front. If you are uncomfortable resting your hands on your knees, you can use blocks on either side of you and rest your hands on the blocks. Just breathe here and relax. Let's move to the other side now, but first we'll take a little break in between. So sitting on your heels, just feel the difference between the two sides of the body now. And go up to the other side. Remember, knee over ankle with the front leg, hip over knee in the back. Bringing that back leg to the opposite corner. Reaching up, long, tall, breathe. And then to accentuate the stretch, if you want to bring that arm over the head, stay vertical here, and simply bend towards the side of the forward leg. Ladies, if you're ever suffering from menstrual cramps, this practice here can be very relieving. So breathing in, reaching up, coming out. Straightening that back leg so you can come into the forward lunge. Resting your hands on your knee lightly or using the blocks. Be at ease. Go ahead and release that lunge. And let's take a child's pose here. Let everything fall from the tip of your sacrum down along your spine to the top of the head and into the ground. Just release any tension, any remaining holdings. So coming out of child's pose now, just bringing your chest to the ground. Lying down on your belly, your legs towards the corners of your mat. Your chin resting on your hands. And just rock your hips from side to side, feeling the pressure of the ground along the surface of the legs, the tops of the feet, the belly, the ribs. Rock and breathe. And just lift your chest up. This is a really small extension. So your elbows are out to the side. Nothing's really happening in the lower back. It's just a lift of the chest. Lengthen through the spine. You can tuck the toes and extend through the heels, pressing them away from you. And then release. Then come down and take a little rest. We'll do another one of these, so just begin to rock your hips side to side again. And then raise up through the chest in a little extension. Kind of feel your elbows grounding in and pull yourself forward away from your legs. Your neck should be integrated with the spine, the chin not tilted in or up. Extend your arms out in front of you. Now, if you notice from the visual here, my arms are very far away from my body, so it's not quite like cobra. You're going to bend an elbow and turn away from the bent elbow and look down towards your feet, and then do the same thing to the other side. So what we're doing here, we're not really involving the lower back. Everything should remain loose. You can continue the rocking to make sure you're not tightening there, and simply go from side to side, turning away from the bent elbow, so you'll get a nice long extension through that bent elbow side of the body. Breathe. And rest your head in your arms again. Rock from side to side. Now, rolling over your arms so you can come onto your back, knees bent, arms at your side. Breathe and receive here. With each breath softening even more than you ever thought possible. You can place your hands on your belly if that feels good to you, just to feel the rise and fall of the belly. Or you can have them at your sides as I do here. Continue to find ways to let go of muscle groups that you don't need to hold this structure. And now lengthen. We'll take our Shavasana now. So have your legs out straight, arms at your side. Just relax here. Remember, relaxing isn't really doing, it's undoing. It's being comfortable doing nothing. Holding nothing. Breathe and receive all of the work that you've just done to help hydrate and lengthen and release the psoas. Your center, your core, your gut brain, more accessible now, more able to signal you to respond. With each rise of the belly, an expansion, a growing through the field of your energy. And with each exhalation, a deepening inward. Begin to move your hands and feet, fingers and toes. And take a long body stretch here. Point and flex the feet. And If you'd like to take your knees to your chest, go ahead and roll on your back a little here. We'll roll to one side and just rest there for a moment. Keeping that sense of relaxation in the core. To push ourselves up with our hands. Coming into easy pose here. Again, the hands on the knees in Gyan Mudra, thumb to index finger. Breathe. Acknowledge yourself and the work you've done. And acknowledge and be grateful for the gifts that you've received. Hands together at chest. Bow the head. Good work.